DNOs. We all have to deal with them, and unfortunately, it does get harder. Let's explain what I'm talking about. So over the last few weeks, we have had a few social media posts explaining what we've had to go through, the process we've gone through, and again, the applications we've had to submit, various DNOs around the UK, whilst we've been trying to install equipment. We've received a far superior number than normal direct messages that are asking for help and assistance with this. We've gone through a couple of years of pain, and the honest answer is we don't have a single one that we go to. There's not one single outlet we use. There is not one single piece of software that is far superior than the others. We'll break down over the next couple of minutes what we do and what we don't, and we'll try and explain that for you as best as possible. So we use 4 different versions of software. Some are app-based, some are web portal-based, some are desktop, and every single one of them has their quirks, their benefits, their restrictions. And in fairness, there is not one that kind of ticks all the boxes from a installer point of view, an electrical contracting point of view, and an NIC EIC point of view, and I'll be honest, the customer. The customer is the one that is the most important part of this transition. They are about to invest heavily within the renewables market. They may be just treading water, going down the EV route first, but eventually all of these things ultimately have to have DNO involvement. And that, unfortunately, is the painful part. A couple of years ago, it was print a form, send a form, 28 days, notify connect. Really straightforward. All you had to do was basically work out who the DNO was for that, and there was a very good website search that had a database that you could use. Name, address, all those things for the connections department within those DNOs, and you were away. Stamp, letterbox, done. It made it very straightforward, very simple. You then got a letter back to say, yeah, okay, thanks. Very generic letters. They were very lapse in bespoking all the information within the confirmation letters, etc., but it worked. You had a document that came back that said, thanks for telling us, we are now aware, and please notify us if you move and remove this device from the property so the demand on that property could potentially reduce. All about grid support, happy days, thumbs up. Now, everything is 3.68 kilowatts or 16 amps, and that is the threshold. That's G98, G99 thresholds. Thresholds are so that we have the ability to still do a notify and connect or a pre-authorization. Notify and connect is the easy way, and there are a lot of people out there that are trying to kind of stay within those thresholds so they can just turn up, do the work, sign off, and go. The majority of our customers are high use customers in regards to grid usage, and are obviously trying to take most, if not all of that, away from grid and become self-sufficient to a degree with battery storage, PV. We are not the only people in this industry that are doing this. We are not unique. This video is not unique. But we've had so many people asking the question, we thought we would let you know exactly how we do it. So we use 4 pieces of software: Open Solar, Install Hub, ENA Direct Connect, and Easy PV. It's that straightforward. All 4 of those we will put links in the description below. It will help you. You can decide which one you want to use. We use 4 because one is better than the other at other things, etc., and none of them tick the whole box. Open Solar has integration through 2 suppliers. That is currently City Plumbing, and the other one is Seagen. If you have either of those accounts, you can link that into your Open Solar, and as you're producing your documentation, your proposals, etc., you can tell it markups and all those things, and your bill of materials is generated at the end, and the proposals generate for the customer, costs, savings, estimate your return of investment, etc. Really good piece of software. ENA Direct Connect is built into that, so that's the DNO side of things. And there is a notification type of checklist that as you're going through, it will tell you whether or not you've got all the information. The majority of the forms are identical. Everybody wants to know the type test number of the device. You can find that from the live register. Its power factor and its size. Again, I'm telling you to suck eggs because this is stuff you should know if you're already in the industry. If you're starting out, by all means reach out. We will help you as best as we can. But the majority of the information is already supplied by the customer or the manufacturer. The only thing realistically that changes on each form is date of install, who's doing the install, who's signing the form, and MPAN. And for some reason these forms just don't understand what an MPAN is. If you put a form through either of these platforms, MPAN is the same. So you input it once, half a couple of sections later on, it asks for it again, and again. Why, once you've put it in the one, MPAN can't just pre-populate? Don't know. This is the same on all of these platforms. Second one, Install Hub. Install Hub is paid. Install Hub is roughly £30 a month plus VAT. That's what we pay, single user. We go on there and it's got the ability to do EV, battery, PV, etc, etc. This one as a paid subscription has got a little bit more in the background development, I would say. So recently, under one of their latest app updates, they call them app updates, but it's web-based, so it's a bit of a strange term. The updates they rolled out, it now allows you to have embedded links. It always had the ability to have home, workplace for EVs, batteries, and PV. But it is now also giving the option of adding electrical, so you can have standard inquiry forms for just electrical work and various other bits and pieces that you can activate in the background. As a paid service, pretty decent, and again has the ability to generate the DNO application based on the information you're telling it about the size of system you're providing the customer with a quotation for. The good thing with the good thing with Install Hub is it has got a almost live, I will say almost, interactive button on the right hand side of the screen. As you're filling in the information, it will give you an update as to whether or not the submission is ready for DNO. As soon as it's ready, the button changes, goes green, and you just click the button. The good thing with this, it automatically knows who to send the form to. You click send, and off it goes. Internally within the software, it then keeps you updated with anything that comes back from the DNO and any further information they request. They always request further information. So that's 2 of the 4 that we use. EasyPV is the next one we use. Everyone knows EasyPV. It is a midsummer product. It is designed to be standalone, but the only thing you can do is integrate it with Midsummer and your Midsummer account. So the pricing is very much based on that. And market research, sneaking suspicion that's what they're using it for. So EasyPV is free of charge, and it is only integratable with your Midsummer account. If you then increase to a Pro or a subscription service, this varies depending on what you are physically needing. Again, a very simple, straightforward system. Generates the system, generates the strings, does all the sort of technical bits in the background, and helps to assist with the DNO application and everything else that needs to be done. LOAs, we'll get into LOAs shortly, and various other documents that you do need. So again, there is a bit of a hybrid with that one, with the EasyPV being free with restrictions, but then paid for with a subscription depending on what you want to do with that software. And then the last one is the simplest one of all. It's ENA Direct Connect. All of these links will be in the bottom description, so you can go through and you can have a look to see exactly what's happening. ENA Direct Connect is a brand new portal. It is the online portal for the ENA. The ENA are the governing body of the DNOs. Regional DNOs all have their responsibilities within their areas. The ENA is the godfather of those, if you like. They have a brand new website. It's a portal which has got quite a difficult registration process, but once you're on, it's free. You go through the basis of, once you're set up, you're registered, you go onto the system, and then you get your 6 options: your V to C, your V to G, your heat sources, your air sources, heat pumps, all of those things. Just click the button and away you go. The good thing with this, you can tell it how many devices at the start you want to apply for. So you can do solar, storage, EV, heat pump, 4 or more at the start of the process, and as you go through that form, it just asks all the information. It already knows, because of the database, whether or not that device is a type tested, registered live device. That's a mouthful. It gives the codes, all those kind of things, search functions on there, and it's progressing reasonably well. Still a few little flaws, and there is a couple of little niggles that still happen, but they're constantly developing. There is a beta test, I think it is, we were emailed about earlier on today, and that is happening soon, where we can try a few things as new features, and we have to just give some feedback. Yes, no, doesn't work, does work, doesn't work. The biggest problem with ENA when we first registered with them was it's been out since probably earliest part of last year, so just over 12 months, 12 to 15 months. When it first came out, once the submission had gone, that was it. If they came back and said, need further information, you had to then step away from the portal. There was no fluid kind of interactions between the DNOs and yourself at that point. That's been changed. There's now status updates on the screen, customer information, status updates, further information, all these other things. The good thing with this one, ENA Direct Connect, 3.68 and below, 16 amps and below, the system will automatically generate permission straight away. Everything after that gets forwarded onto the install team, the connections teams, all the various DNOs, and all of that is then for them to do their load checks in regards to the local substations, transformers, etc., etc. We've all seen videos where voltages, local demand, etc., and they cap. So they just do connection checks and come back to you with a connection offer, a connection quote, etc., etc. This is pretty much what happens with all of them, but with the ENA Direct Connect, it is one of those scenarios where everything is now on the portal. You can amend, you can edit, you can submit additional things if that's requested, and yeah. But the one thing I will say with all 4 of these options is there is still some gaps between information requested, information required, submission, and what they actually want at the other end. What I mean by that is LOAs. LOAs are probably the most common request we have come back when the further information required tab lights up like Vegas. You know that you're getting an email within the next 24 hours, and one of the things it wants is the LOA. It's the letter of authority, and what that means is you have to have a document from your customer to say that they are happy for you to deal with this on their behalf. It's a consent letter. So letter of consent, letter of authority, varying ranges of description as to what that document is. Now, there are a couple of inbuilt LOA documents that easiest way to explain this is it will pre-populate most of this information and then allow you to send that document to e-sign by the customer, and it comes back. You can download it, PDF, done. In some of the software, that is part of it. In other things, you have to send it manually and then attach it to the form. But one of the documents required in every situation is a letter of authority. However, on the applications, they don't tell you this. The second thing that you're always going to need is the SLD, single line diagram, or just a very basic back of a fag packet. They don't take fag packet drawings, by the way, but it's a very simple outline of how grid cutout, meter, generation meter, AC isolator, inverter, etc., etc., etc. It's just so they can have an understanding of how you plan to connect to their system. As I said, all 4 of these vary between free with restrictions all the way through to paid. And they all have their benefits, their quirks, their ease of use, etc., etc. We'll put links below, and we will, in fairness, help as much as we can, because this journey was difficult enough for us. So if we can share some information, I hope this video has allowed that to happen and answer some of the questions that the guys have emailed and messaged on the social media platforms. And if you have any questions, comment below. We'll do our best to help you out as best as possible. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you soon. Cheers. Bye.